Hey guys, it is Mo in the Deep End, and we are back with the Joel Guy Jr. case. Sorry for the delay. I always consider myself a pessimist unless I am anticipating or believing I have more time. Then I am an eternal optimist, it seems, and I feel like I can do all the 870 things that I need to do in one day with grace, which is is something I'm hoping to get, but let's be honest, it's a crapshoot. Um, so we are getting to the closing statements. I figured it was kind of a good segue from the closing statements in the football case. So, as normal, the state goes first and we will listen to what everyone has to say. I vaguely remember that the defense pulled out some Elle Wood, happy people don't kill each other kind of BS nonsense to the point I started laughing. So it could all be made up. It's been a while since I've seen this case. Those eyes are him and Nancy Grace. Thank God they never got together. Can you imagine the unholy abomination they would create? Let us get into this and see if my memory is correct.
Elements for that offense being that Joel Michael Guy Jr. unlawfully killed Lisa Guy, his mother, and Joel Guy Sr., and that he
Okay,
did
this
so
must be on
intentionally,
the
and that he did so with
well, for some reason, oh, okay, sorry.
on a reasonable doubt. The essential elements for that
This happened
offense
with the last
being
recording I
that
tried
Joel
to
Michael
do.
Guy Jr. unlawfully killed Lisa.
I thought that I had clicked on something wrong. Nope, it is Joel Guy Jr.'s fault. I am not a menace with computer. It was simply Joel Guy Jr. that done it.
Lisa Guy, his mother, and Joel Guy Sr., and that he did so intentionally, and that he did so with premeditation. We talked about the premeditation in the purchase supplies. We talked about the premeditation in the notebook, the book of premeditation. We also went through the entries and we looked at the intentional acts of Joel Guy Jr. with regard to the unlawful killing of his father. And we left here, ladies and gentlemen, with the shirt that Joel Guy Sr. was wearing that was ultimately removed from him with a pair of scissors, cut off,
Just
stabbed in
the
his
amount of
presence.
carnage.
Again,
I
this is a
mean,
man who
y'all really look at that. He cut again why you would make your parents naked to have to melt them. Boy is 12 shades of crazy and 110 pounds of crazy in a 5-pound sack. I mean, sir, you could have bucked expectations. You could have had that chill look and maybe made movies that made all of us a little creeped out, like, The Shining, but no, you chose to melt and nakify your parents. I cannot.
suffered at least 42 stab wounds, ladies and gentlemen. An intentional killing. And next, I want to focus on the intentional killing of Lisa Guy that occurred in the
I
upstairs
love when
landing at
lawyers discover,
11434 Golden View Lane here in Knox
PowerPoint.
County, Tennessee on November.
Listen, y'all, not that I can brag with my tech skills, but I love when their tech skills mirror my own because let's be real honest, it's a whole lot of not too great most of the time. I I hesitate to think if I would actually be able to do something because I can't. Uh, let's see here. I had one that covered up it is just a Mo moment. It wouldn't be our duct tape production if it was not a Mo moment and I couldn't figure out how to cover law and crime without but basically it says the intentional killing of Lisa Guy.
The 26th, 2016. We know Joel Guy Jr. had a plan. He had a plan with regard to what order he was going to execute his parents in. He demonstrated that in his book of premeditation. Clean up the mess from him before she gets home. He's looking for a window when his mother will not be present, when he can take care of his dad and wait for her to get home and take care of her.
He is This woman was just going to her
We
Walmart.
know that Ms. Guy checked out of Walmart on November the 26th, 2016 at roughly 12:18. She's captured on video surveillance.
And you guys, I know I'm pausing it a lot, but this moment is where sometimes, and I think it's a defense mechanism, we kind of focus on the criminal and, the victims become kind of just a victim, a cardboard cutout. But this moment right here, and I think every trial has that moment where you kind of get that flash of life or the spark of life kind of testimony. This case was full of it with the, stepdaughters talking about her, with the boss talking about her. But for me, it had to be this moment. A woman just, heading out from Walmart, having done stuff, just gotten stuff for her family, and, was just going to go home and unpack all that stuff and maybe just sit down on the couch and veg out a little.
Purchasing items that are ultimately found in the foyer and the downstairs of the residence. We know that she makes it out of Walmart at roughly 12:19, and that Joel Guy Jr., the defendant, goes to Walmart at 3:35 the same day. The work has been done at that point. Lisa Guy, Joel Guy Sr. have been murdered. And how do we know that? We know that through proof that came in during the course of this trial, receipts that corroborate the items that were purchased.
Y'all, don't you wish things were back at
corroborates the date and time,
pre-inflation
as well as the video.
prices? Because I do.
Ladies and gentlemen, these are the last moments of Lisa Guy's life. And you are
I
watching
hate
her
you,
in the
sir.
same clothing that she was murdered in, and that was ultimately cut off her body.
Again, Joel, I'm skeeved out by the murder, and I'm terribly squeaked out by the time that you killed and nakedified your parents. You just
Not a worry in the
naked them.
world.
Poor woman.
Little did Lisa Guy know. She had no idea of the terror that awaited her.
Sir Blinker, again, you have no chin. Put your head down. You've
She
got
came
to.
in,
Well,
the
you
proof
got
demonstrates
two.
through the front door, brought in groceries with what the proof
That's actually a
demonstrates
pretty
without the
good
help
lot.
of Joe Guy Jr., who at this point had cut hands. She was lured upstairs, up the stairwell, through the doggy door, and brutally attacked.
This man could not even put away
We
the
saw,
doggone
From
groceries.
Investigator McCord and Officer Ballard, the blood present on the way up the stairs. And we submit to you that that blood was likely the result of Joel Guy Jr. bringing his mother's decapitated head down the stairwell, ultimately putting it in a stock pot and boiling it for days
Just
before it's
why?
ultimately discovered. Again, the crime scene diagram demonstrates that this guy came up the stairs, took a left, went through the doggy door, and was ultimately attacked and murdered in location A. We saw the items, the sewer line cleaner, the empty bottles, ladies and gentlemen, of sewer line cleaner, acid-based solution.
And I don't know if you guys have ever had a chance to pick up one of those cast iron irons. They are heavy. If Joel he's convicted. So what Joel probably did is he beat his mother over the head, subdued her with that. And those are some heavy things. If you got clocked in the head with one of them, you'd be really hurt.
Her clothing, underwear were cut off. Her bra was cut off. Her undershirt with
Just Joel.
numerous stab wounds was cut off.
Why?
Her sweatshirt that she was wearing moments before was cut off. And Mr. Joe Guy Jr. accomplished that with the use of a kitchen knife. And with regard to acting intentionally, ladies
Used
and
her
gentlemen,
good knife
what
too.
did we hear from Dr. Hawes? Dr. Hawes testified that Ms. Guyswell was disarticulated at the shoulders, at the knees. She was decapitated before she was placed in a acid-based solution and left to dissolve. What does that tell us, ladies and gentlemen? At least 31 stab wounds. I submit to you that is acting intentionally. That is someone who is trying to bring
just a
about
little bit,
the death of an alleged
you
victim.
think? Sir,
Again, the judge will
I don't
instruct you,
like
what is
you.
acting intentionally legally? A person acts intentionally when it's the person's conscious objective or desire to cause the death of the alleged victim. Joe Guy Jr., the proof establishes in this case, acted intentionally when he stabbed his mother at least 31 times, dismembered her, and decapitated her. We saw the pictures of the back of Lisa
Okay,
Guy.
warning.
While
I
they're hard to
guess
look
you
at,
guys
they
knew
paint
what y'all were
pictures.
getting into,
We
but
heard about the
warning.
tails and how these tails on these certain wounds are created and what causes those tails. And it's either the knife moving or the victim trying to move. We also learned that Lisa Guy had 5 stab wounds to her buttock, consistent with trying to get away. The diagrams that Dr. Hawes provided us paint a picture. They tell us
I'm
that
wondering if the
not only
cameraman
did
got
Lisa Guy
hazard
have a
pay for
tremendous
having
gaping
to
wound
focus
on
on
her front,
Joel.
so did Joe Guy Sr. And I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, that is for one purpose, and that is for this chemical-based solution to enter their main cavity to quicken the process of dissolving Joe Guy Sr. and Lisa Guy. What else did we learn about the attack with regard to Lisa Guy? She, like Joe Guy Sr., had wounds that were at least 6 inches deep. And again, thinking to acting intentionally, stabbing someone 6 inches deep. Her injuries, significant injuries. She had injuries to her heart.
His face just doesn't even
She had injuries
move.
to her kidney, her spine.
I mean, I kind of startled at the picture. Sir, when you get to where you're going in the afterlife and you're on an endless loop of 99 bottles of beer on the wall with a symphony of recorders, just remember I thought that punishment up. And I hope your parents get to do to you daily or hourly what you did to them.
Fine. She had a hole in her back from an attack.
Oh my gosh, she's getting excited
She had injuries
looking.
to her lungs. And if you look at the wounds on her back, that is not surprising. Dr. Murray Marks testified. You heard from him, and you heard about the injuries to her bones.
Y'all, look at the rolling cart cage thing. That is all the doggone investigation they had to have in this damn case.
Blunt force injuries with a knife entering.
Also, can we talk about this tie? This tie is making me want a picnic. Y'all, this low carb thing may kill me, but I have some skirts and stuff I want to get into by the end of summer, and I know it is wrong to be talking about this during the trial, but those pictures were terrible. These people were humans. Their son was not.
With such
Sorry.
a thrust that it cuts into her ribs, removes pieces of her ribs. You heard about the process of how Joe Michael Guy Jr. Decapitated her, how he did it awfully high on her neck, and he had to apply some degree of force to separate her head from her neck. Joe Guy Jr.'s own words, in the book of premeditation: remove her clothes and take them with me for disposal.
Why?
Well, he achieved half his objective, ladies and gentlemen. He removed her clothes. And that's demonstrated by the pictures that were entered.
And she had the cute butt jeans. Come on. She was feeling a little sassy, a little spicy. She wanted the cute butt jeans. Sir.
In evidence in this case, investigator Sandy Campbell with the crime scene for the Knox County Sheriff's Office. She recreated how the items of clothing were physically removed and made sense of it in a way that we could understand it. Her pants were cut in the back. up each leg, through to the top, stripped off her stabbed body. Her bra was cut. The rear of her underwear and the crotch area were cut.
Just why, sir? What is wrong with you?
Her undershirt, evident, ladies and gentlemen, was cut. Again, at least 31 stab wounds or incised wounds of the back, right buttock, and left side of the neck. We heard from Dr. Hawes that she was likely attacked from the front and the back, as well as Joel Guy Sr. Lisa Guy had a serious wound that went to the muscle on her clavicle area, and the main attack was to her backside. Joel Guy Sr. had stab wounds to his ribs, and again, the main attack was to his backside. Joel Guy Jr. cut off his mother's sweatshirt, same sweatshirt she was wearing just moments earlier. And again, in looking at that through Sandy Campbell, evidence in this proof in this case, we can see that this sweatshirt was cut off. And what does Joel Michael Guy Jr. do after he kills his parents? He goes to tend to himself. He buys the requisite supplies he needs to treat his wounds that he obtained in a fight with his dad, Joel Guy Sr.
I just
who was
hate
trying to
you,
stop
sir.
an assault, a murder.
Okay, so y'all tell me in the comments, do you think that his well, long that is in fact a skullet, ladies and gentlemen. That is party around the circle, but not too much in the circle. So do we like this hairdo? Does this hairdo make him look less or more skeevy, or the one that he chose, well, the prison chose?
So with regard to premeditated first-degree murder, ladies and gentlemen, the proof has showed to you, beyond a reasonable doubt, the three necessary elements.
Can you imagine what he
that
looks like in those checkout cameras? Because y'all know you think you look good, you look okay, you don't look homeless, you've made it out of bed, you think that, today I'm not in the uggo stage. If you follow MLS law, you will get the in joke. Um, and then you look at yourself in those checkout camera videos, and you're like, well, at least there's not town people with torches and pitchforks, um, following behind me like in Shrek.
that the defendant unlawfully killed Lisa and Joel Guy Sr. He didn't have a reason to do so. He didn't act in self-defense. Proof is show that he intentionally killed them. Again, Joel Guy Sr. stabbed at least 41 times. Lisa Guy is stabbed at least 32 times. When we consider premeditation, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to belabor the point, but we have him starting up to 19 days before the commission of these offenses, these brutal murders, purchasing supplies that he intends to use in his grand plan to obtain $500,000.
And y'all, he used their money to
We
buy
submit to you that the book of murder, the notebook that he drafted with his DNA on it,
flipping parents bought you the daggone notebook. You broke your stinky little plan in. Mommy and daddy's money paid to, oh, church lady. Church lady is a coming out and she's about to tell y'all about it. But not this crime, not this, no.
that is corroborated by every piece of evidence in this case. We submit to you that that shows premeditation beyond a reasonable doubt. Next, with regard to felony murder. As you know, Mr. Guy is charged with felony murder in 3 counts, 2 for the thefts that are committed in the perpetration of the killing, and 1 for the killing of Lisa Guy in the commission of killing Joel Guy Sr. So the elements for felony murder are a little bit different, and what the state must prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt is that Joel Michael Guy Jr., again, unlawfully killed Joel Guy Sr. and Lisa Guy, and that the killing was committed in the perpetration of the theft. The theft in this case being the money transfers, the pills. The defendant, Joel.
Okay, y'all, I just looked it up. I thought I had it right, but I was a little off in the hours. The jury deliberated for 3 hours after these closing statements. Now, with this kind of, I mean, dude just, well, to use the metaphor correctly, bled evidence all over the doggone place. And y'all, just bear with me. I will learn how to cover the law and crime thing. Mr. Mo is on it, because he knows, he knows.
Michael Guy Jr. in possession of his father's card that was used on the 27th to make 3 significant transactions.
Even the
27th
prosecutors like, used their doggone cards.
being a day after what the proof demonstrates the victims were slain in this case. Furthermore, you saw the wallets, ladies and gentlemen. You saw the wallets laying on the dining room table. You saw Joel Guy Sr.'s wallet empty.
Y'all, I swear to
saw
all
on
that
the
is
video
holy, for
Lisa Guy
goodness and
Shopping.
hoodness,
She was
I
in
had that
possession of that
tablecloth.
wallet just moments before she was murdered. You heard proof through Eddie Wassman at the Sheriff's Department, who specializes in forensic examination of electronic devices. You heard from him that on the 27th, in conducting a forensic analysis.
Now, y'all, my math is about as great as lawyer math, but that is damn near $3,000 that he paid to doggone college. I
Of the
just
desktop computer that belonged to Joel Guy Sr. and Lisa Guy, that he came across transfers that were planned or happened
Lord,
on the
deliver me
27th
from my
of
want for
November
bagels,
2016. The
for
first one
carbs
being
are
at
good and
9:38
I am
a.m.
weak.
using card, ladies and gentlemen, 5773 for the amount of $1,025. 2 minutes later, same day, 9:40 a.m., same card, ending in 5773, was charged $1,589.78. 1 minute later, on the 27th of November 2016, card ending in 5773 was charged $2,051.03, all of which are going to the bursar operations. And we heard from investigator Wassman that based on his investigation, he was able to determine that that was a payment to the Louisiana State University. Proof is established that Joel Michael Guy Jr. Was a student.
Sir, how are you? I wanted to say, how is you confused? I talk to my cats like that. He kind of, those slow blinks remind me of a cat. And y'all, listen, cat owners, you're with me on this. We totally realize they're all cat holes that will eat us the minute we die, that we have allowed cute, fluffy sociopaths into our lives. Now, he's not cute or fluffy. Well, takes, we is all a little fluffy. But, yeah, those slow blinks definitely remind me of cats, and we will continue.
At Louisiana State University. Again, considering the crime scene, ladies and gentlemen, what you have up here is the guest bedroom. We've seen ample pictures of the guest bedroom, all the items in the guest bedroom, particularly next to the bottle of food-grade hydrogen peroxide with Joel Michael Guy Jr.'s DNA and blood on there, is a card that belongs to his father, a card that was used the day after his death to make 3 money transfers. Close-up of that card. Again, last 4 digits, 5773. That is a theft that's committed in the perpetration of this murder, these murders. We also learned from Eddie Wassman that upon looking at the computer, there were transfers of Capital One, an account belonging to Joel Guy Sr., that occurred on 11/27/2016, 3:49 p.m. You have the SunTrust records before you, ladies and gentlemen. I would ask you to consider those, look at those. They're in evidence. And what you'll find is that on the 27th, with a posting date of the 28th, a check card purchase from Joel Guy Sr.'s account was charged an amount of $3,090. Particularly, a organization Submeter One in Louisiana.
Submeter. Maybe
With
that's
regard to the
his.
pills, ladies and gentlemen, we've seen proof. Let's start with the kitchen. Let's start with the empty oxycodone bottle. Found
Holy goodness. Well, now we know he's on Oxy. Well, are we shocked? See if I can read what these are. I'm not a doctor. I am on Google. Let's see here. Oh, well, okay, so the Oxycontin was for Joel Guy Sr. And okay, yeah, it looks like he's on some muscle relaxers. She's on, I don't know what that is. Although, never mind. Look, y'all, I'm not a doctor, but looks like Joel Guy stole his dad's Oxy too. Like, I don't know why that offends me more. I don't like people who abuse these
next to the pot
medications.
that Lisa Guy's head was simmering in for days after Joel Michael Guy Jr. left. We know that stove was on based on the pictures you've seen when investigators entered that residence at 11434 Golden View Lane. It doesn't stop there. We go up to the guest bedroom and we have various prescription pills signed to Joel Michael Guy with the address of 11434 Golden View Lane. We have other pills that have been prescribed to Lisa Guy with an address of 11434 Golden View Lane. With regard to the felony murder, the judge is going to instruct you on some law that's helpful when determining this type of charge. And essentially, what's relevant in our argument is that the killing may precede, coincide with, or follow the theft. So the killing can occur before the theft and still be considered as occurring in the perpetration of the theft, so long as there is a connection in time, place, and continuity of action. Let's talk about first the connection in time, ladies and gentlemen. What do we know about the 26th? We know that Lisa Guy went to Walmart. We know that Joel Guy went to Walmart. We know that they were executed on the 26th. We know that he had a plan to.
Okay, you know what? I take it back. They are much better than me. They figured out how to use the Photoshop dealie to X out all the. I mean, it kind of is an interesting graphic. Well, to me. Look, I'm just amazed when people can use computers without holy water.
Murder his father and wait until his mother was out before he murdered her. Connection in time. Demonstrated here.
You know, I'm glad he hurt his
that
murder mittens. I am just
326
so done
Joel
with
Michael
him.
Guy Jr. is entering Walmart Turkey Creek here in Knox County, Tennessee, with bandages on his hands.
I want to say throw him in Gen Pop, but he has those Manson lamps. I think he'd skeeve just everyone the heck out and they'd leave him alone, which he seemed to be okay alone. Maybe just put him in with a bunch of extroverts and make him have to. Oh my God, could you imagine the hell that would be if he was put in with Daryl Brooks? Because us introverts just want to be left the hell alone most of the time. Like we'll go out in people, but we need some recharge time. I demand he be put in with Daryl Brooks. I know it's different court systems. I'm just saying.
We know that he used cash. We know that it occurred on 11/26 at 15:35, which translates to 3:35. Connection in place. Ladies and gentlemen, the proof has showed to you and demonstrated that all the offenses charged in this case occurred here in Knox County, Tennessee, specifically at the 11434 Golden View Lane address here in Knoxville. That would be the murders of Joel Guy Sr. and Lisa Guy, as well as the thefts. We know that Joel Guy Jr. didn't leave until the late hours of the 27th into the 28th. That's when he spotted heading back to Louisiana by the use of the license plate reader through Vigilant Solutions. Continuity of action. What this case shows us is that there's no broken plan after the homicide has been committed. There's no broken plan after the thefts have been committed. The only broken plan here is Joel Michael Guy Jr. leaving to tend to his wounds, but he wasn't done. He had a plan to light this house on fire. He had a plan.
But that required work. And Your Honor, may I submit that this boy has never had a gerb in his life. He probably fussed when his mom made him empty the daggone dishwasher. But Mom, I gotta go to school. Joel Guy, you are 74. Get up.
To bring 4 or 5 gallon tanks of gasoline with him. He had a plan.
Okay, second thought. Still keep Brooks in my imaginary jail cell that would bother Joel the most. Get Brooks, make him do a job in jail. Make him scrub pots. It would be apropos. He seems to have an affinity with well, not cleaning up, but he does seem to have a weakness. He has an affinity for pots, but a weakness for cleaning up.
And to use commercial timers to ignite the fire. He had a plan to light in electronics, namely
Dude was
hair
gonna
curler
MacGyver
and a hair dryer
himself.
to start a fire. He was not done. There's another count of felony murder that deals with the killing committed during the perpetration of the first-degree premeditated murder of Joel Guy Sr. Essentially, that's dealing with Lisa Guy being.
Okay, I'm going to rag on defense attorney back here, but how is it that Joel Guy Jr. in this moment looks more professional, even with the cone of shame on, than his lawyer in this? I want to say chartreuse. It is some pea green, exorcist looking green kind of thing here.
In the victim.
Actually,
In
it
this
makes me want key lime
count,
pie. Y'all
where
can't
she
tell
is
I'm
murdered
now.
during the commission of
Got
Joel
picnic
Guy
tie, key
Sr.'s
lime pie
premeditated
tie.
first-degree murder. And again, I don't want to belabor it, but we know that it's in the commission based on Joel Guy Jr.'s own words, his own words from his book of premeditation. Again, what's relevant here, the killing may precede, coincide with, or follow the first-degree murder of Joel Guy Sr. and still be considered as occurring in the perpetration of the murder of Joel Guy Sr., so long as there's, again, connection in time, place, and continuity of action. We believe that the proof in this case certainly establishes that, ladies and gentlemen. Next, we have 2 counts dealing with the abuse of a corpse, namely the corpse of Lisa Guy and of Joel Guy Sr.
Can we say no shit?
And what we have to prove to you, beyond a reasonable doubt, is that the defendant, Joel Guy Jr., did physically mistreat a corpse in a manner offensive to the sensibilities of an ordinary person, and that the defendant acted without legal privilege to do so. In other words, he's not a medical examiner, he's not a coroner. He acted without.
I'm just going to throw in again here, guys. He was going to be a plastic surgeon. Now, do you think Dominique would have been his one and only patient? Look, y'all, I'm just saying, I'd have to be hella desperate and hella insecure to go to Joel Guy Jr.
A legal privilege to do so, and we have to establish that he acted knowingly. So what is the proof demonstrated to us with regard to the abuse of a corpse of Lisa Guy? The decapitation with thermal changes of head. That's abuse of a corpse, ladies and gentlemen.
Y'all, could they not have just put up there, dude dismembered, nakeded his parents and then started to melt him? Like, not to belabor the point, and I know they have to get through all of the elements of a crime, but at some points it's just kind of like head in a pot. This is why I'm not a lawyer, because it'd be like, y'all, dude done stabbed and nakeded his parents to melt them, and then because that wasn't enough, put her head in the doggone pot. Again, this is why I would not be a good lawyer.
He didn't have a legal standing to decapitate his mother, Lisa Guy, to simmer
But
her
if he
head
had
for
a
2
legal,
days.
a medical certificate,
He didn't have a legal right to dismember or disarticulate Lisa Guy at the head, the shoulders, the knees, one hand. He didn't have a legal right to put Lisa Guy in an acid-based solution and leave her to dissolve.
He has definitely got
With
the whole
regard to the
cat
abuse of the corpse
personality.
of Joel Guy Sr., he did not have a legal right to disarticulate his father or dismember his father at the hands, at the arms, at the shoulders, at the hips. He did not have a legal right to then place his father in an acid-based solution in an attempt to dissolve him. Now, the judge is going to instruct you regarding what flight is, what the flight is of a person accused, and I ask you to pay attention to that, ladies and gentlemen, particularly as it relates to these facts. And essentially, you'll hear it again from the judge, but the flight of a person accused of a crime is a circumstance which, when considered with all the facts of the case, may justify an inference of guilt. Flight is the voluntary withdrawal of oneself for the purpose of evading arrest or prosecution for the crime charged. You will also hear an instruction on tampering with evidence, and I ask you to pay attention to that as it applies to this case as well. The judge will instruct you as to that.
He is
Last, ladies
just
and gentlemen, look at the pictures in this case. The house demonstrates the love that the guys had for their only son.
oh,
Joel and Lisa Guy, they did love Joel Guy Jr. We've heard proof from sisters who testified they had a loving family. We heard proof that they supported their only son. In fact, the only reason Lisa Guy worked was to support Joel Guy Jr. while he attended school in Louisiana. Proof in this case demonstrates that Lisa Guy and Joel Guy Sr. suffered. They suffered a great deal. Think about the exercise room, ladies and gentlemen, the struggle, the wounds to Joel Guy Sr.'s hands. Ultimately, they didn't deserve his death.
no, sir.
Their lives mattered. And we ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to consider all the proof in this case and render the only just verdict given these facts. We ask that you hold Joel Guy Jr. accountable, that you find him guilty as charged. Thank you.
3 hours, y'all. They got their free lunch.
Mr. Halstead would
Well, not free. Let's be honest. Okay, you guys, I just started watching Supernatural, and I'm going to pretend that an angel is smiting him right now. 3 hours. They got their lunch that wasn't free because they had to see all of these pictures, not the blurred ones that Lon Cuck was going to show. So they had 3 hours where they got to, finally purge all this, and I hope they were offered counseling. Between this and the Letitia Stalk and the Chandler Halderson case, I hope that there are people and systems in place. I believe there are for the jury and the lawyers, even.
would the defense like to make a closing argument?
Let's see what the defense is going to
Ladies and
say.
gentlemen, I first want to say thank you again for sitting through this. I know it's been difficult, but we're close to the end.
Oh, it's old man time.
That weekend, Joel Guy was outgoing, friendly, and happy in a way.
Oh my God, I was right, y'all. I was right. They went with happy. She exercises releases endorphins, and happy, and that makes you happy, and happy people don't kill their husbands. I thought I had made this up in my head, but no.
Michelle Tyler had never seen him before. Outgoing, friendly, and happy. That was not a man about to commit a homicide. Outgoing, friendly, and happy. You saw it in the picture from the front porch. Smiling.
You guys, tell me in the comments, this defense or the defense or the state in the ex NFL, the Travis Rudolph case, which ones are more disconnected from reality as most normal, semi normal people see it?
Happy. That's who Joel Guy was that weekend.
Also, juxtapose this happy guy with the cart full of daggone evidence of this ridiculousness behind him. Him and comb over. This is comb over in 60 years.
He was not someone planning on committing a murder. And remember the facts of the case. His father was stabbed at least 41 times, his mother at least 32 times. That is anger, that is rage, that is not happy and outgoing.
So his point being that at some point he stopped being happy? Sir should have just gone up there and, like the Letitia Stalk case, well, sort of, but, said, "Hey, hold the state to its burden of proof, make sure that you find each and every element of this crime. Remember that, if you have a doubt, it should be in favor of my client, but, uh, happy people become mad people. Uh, these
We
people can
heard
commit
family
murder.
testimony that they planned to cut him off financially at Christmas. This was not Christmas. This was not when that was going to occur. That's why we have to look at every fact to see if this adds up. Because just from that very start, outgoing, friendly, and happy does not add up to what happened here.
Okay, someone lovingly but terribly sewed that mask. Um, I You can see the, threads that are hanging off. They used a whole ton of elastic, and I don't know if you guys are into sewing or not. I got into the mask craze, and you could not find elastic, so that's a more pant or, um, like a pull-on skirt kind of elastic that you would put in the waistband. There is actually elastic thread that you would use for the mask, so and they didn't cut off the threads. Sir, if you are going to pull this, I need you to use all the thread clippers and get that taken care of.
Rage, anger, and death. The phone call to Michael McCracken. Mr. Guy never says that he
Okay, so I will be doing a separate video on this. This is, excuse me, Joel Guy Jr.'s. This is just all the duct tape production today. Um, that particular guy is Joel Guy Jr.'s roommate, and I know I joked when I said that should any of the people I meet at Walmart or have close relationships with turn out to be a serial killer, I'll be the one person that says, "Nope, dude was way strange." Gave me total Wild Bill, Buffalo Bill kinda things. So that is the roommate, and roommate basically said same. He's like, "Look, he was always an odd duck. I wasn't gonna say anything because I needed my rent paid, but, I'm not super shocked that he did what he did."
killed anybody. Mr. McCracken never asked him, did he kill anybody? There's really no reference. It's just kind of this snippet of a call taken out of somewhere else, but we don't know what it's.
Sir, my suspension of disbelief will allow me to indulge in Sailor Moon and Supernatural, despite the fact that both of those brothers would be unalived by the massive head trauma in episode 1. I can do that because that's make believe. What you are attempting to amalgamate here is that the call from the jailhouse where Joel Guy basically told his roommate, like, "Look, dude, I done paid all the rent with dead dad money, and don't, anticipate me coming back, but you are covered." But he's like, "But that is just a snippet."
Really about. We know he's feeling sad. We know he's telling Michael this should be goodbye, but we don't know that he's committing or admitting to a homicide.
Bless his heart for trying. Just bless his
Now, the
heart.
state tells us to store videos, Ace Hardware, well, you can see him purchasing the food grade hydrogen peroxide. You can't. You can't tell what that is. You can't tell what any of those containers are from Ace.
You don't know if he bought Drano or the Great Value brand. My client is innocent. I'm having flashes of the Zachariah Anderson trial that I haven't watched, but I do know it was purported by the state that, one Lysol wipe was able to clean up. Doggone it, Joel should have just known had you gotten Lysol
We
wipes.
don't have a receipt. We don't know what was bought at Ace Hardware. The notebook, they tell us, well, they did note DNA on the outside of the notebook. So that means on at some point.
Wait, so I need a tinfoil hat. I will get one. I will get a hat of a conspiracy hat. But what this defense attorney wants us to believe is that someone, some nefarious ninja, like the Jodi Arias case, came into Joel.
Someone touched the outside of that notebook. What about DNA on the writing on the inside?
Okay, y'all, I am sorry. Apparently, we had a brother ball incident. Look, y'all, it is summer. I closed the door, but people do not listen to me, so we will muddle on through. But yes, this is my life. If y'all wonder why Mo is a bit crazy, this is my damn life.
Side. When you write, your hand's often in contact with the paper. Touch DNA would be all over that. That's the thing that you want to know.
Okay, so let me get back to my tinfoil hat conspiracy. So someone went into Joel's house or in Alabama, planted this terribly written, poor handwriting notebook delicately between his medical books in his backpack, put the rubber tubs in the back of his car, um, got all these things, put them in the boot or the trunk, depending on where you are, and then followed him while Joel was there, apparently knocked the hell out, did all the things to the parents, cut, an unconscious Joel Guy Jr.'s hand all up to necessitate him. Not even in the most ridiculous M. Night Shyamalan movie does this make any daggone sense.
Isn't it? Is
Sir.
his DNA on the part where there's a writing? We didn't do that. Page at 5 pages, we could have done that. Hand on the paper when you're writing. They didn't do that. And on
Okay,
the
y'all, I'm gonna
fingerprints,
pause
we
this real
know
quick.
that
I'm
if
going to go
someone
shut my
touches
door
something,
and
like I touched this,
yell at all the
my
feral
print
children.
stays
I will
there.
be
It
right
stays there
back.
until
Boys, be quiet. I am filming. Sorry about that. Let's just say that summer and listening to me are going swimmingly at the Mo household.
Well, it's removed. It's removed by my hand touching again or by someone cleaning, or it's not removed. It can stay there. It doesn't go away. You heard what the officer said. Does the heat melt them? Does it dry? No, it can bake them in. So the fact that
Sir,
his fingerprint,
maybe one should not use cooking, baking, any sort of those visual imagery when said's client put his mother's head in a pot. I'm just throwing out there, it might look a touch tawdry and tacky.
are at some point on some objects doesn't mean that that's necessarily related to this homicide.
Again, the entire coalition that framed OJ came into Joel's
And on the
house just to
notebook, they
screw him.
also did not bring in a handwriting sample to say, yes, this is his writing.
Sir, I did my own forensical analysis, and that handwriting looks sketch AF, and your client looks sketch AF. Solved.
The burden is on them to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. And they
Wait, there he made a one cogent statement in the 15 minutes we've been doggone listening to him.
didn't do that. His car being seen by Vigilant Technology in Mississippi. Newsflash, he did come up for Thanksgiving. Newsflash, he did go home. That tells us absolutely nothing. Clearly, we know at some point he hurt his hand, but that doesn't tell us when or how he hurt his hand. The fact he's getting medicine for his hand does not tell us anything about the homicide.
Y'all, I'm about to start giggling. This man is making.
And again, on the DNA, they get to pick and choose what they tested. Kim Lowe decided she just wasn't going to test some things that she decided weren't relevant. For example, the kitchen glove. Well, of course, if a kitchen glove's in the house, you might have used it at any point. So what's the significance of testing that? I said, what about the kitchen glove in the master bathroom? Do you cook in the master bathroom? Do you do dishes in the master bathroom? And that's where the bodies were?
When your best last ditch attempt for a not guilty plea is look, y'all, the notebook with all the stuff planning the murder that happens to coincide with all the stuff he done bought. You guys didn't make sure that he had wrote it, and look at these 2 gloves. I mean, God love him, you have to again, you go up there, you somberly say, "This is the case that the state is trying to show you. The Constitution requires you to make sure that the state meets every burden of proof that the judge is going to instruct you on. Please pay attention when the judge says it, even though he's monotone and you're just about done with this case. You can see the pearly gates at the end of this case, but my client and the Constitution that we all agree on, even though we don't all agree that we are a constitutional representative republic, some people think we're a democracy. But please, hold the state to its burden. Thank you, amen. I am sorry I have this terribly made mask. Look, my wife got a sewing machine, and I love my wife. I'm 812 and done. That's
Don't need to
5
test
minutes,
that. That's not
a
gonna
little bit
tell
of
us anything
humor.
at all. The clothes of Ms. Guy, we're not even going to look at them. We're told they were cut off. That means someone's hand is coming in contact with the clothes, and we know.
Sir, I don't believe you want to go into the twisted psychology of your client or a ninja or Jodi Arias coming in and taking the clothes off his murder victims.
Exactly where they're coming into contact with the clothes because it's exactly where they're being cut. No need to test that for touch DNA. Didn't even look at it. But then 10 days before trial, suddenly they decide they have to test 2 more knives. And suddenly, in a rush, they can get us 2 more knives worth of DNA. They pick and choose. We just don't know if it's all accurate. You notice we didn't have any questions for the medical examiner or the pathologist. We don't deny that this was a terrible, awful thing that happened to the parents. The question is, did Joel Guy do it? Not, was this bad? So we didn't waste your time asking additional questions about that. We saw a ton of pictures. It felt like we saw everything in that house 4 times. Picture, 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 video. None of it really had anything to do. Flight. Yes, he went back to Louisiana. That was the plan all along, wasn't it? Son going to come up for Thanksgiving, son going back home. That's all we know. We don't know anyone was chasing him back to Louisiana. And where did he go? Where was he arrested? At his apartment.
Okay, sir. So you want me to believe that these very highly coordinated ninjas were following him home. And for him to get to safety, he goes to the one place they already know where he has been and how to get in because they planted the notebook. Make it make sense, sir. Play it in your head.
He wasn't fleeing. He wasn't hiding.
I
He
give
went
up. Between
home.
the cats and the children, I'm gonna lose my daggone mind. It's gonna be a lot of 4 a.m. recording here.
We believe the state has not proven any of these charges beyond a reasonable doubt. We ask that you find Mr. Guy not guilty.
Thank you, Mr. Halstead, for rebuttal. General.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, Dragon Lady, bring it home. You've got the best gray hair. I want your hairstyle. I want your hair length when I'm that age. Bring it on home for me, lady.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Damn it, Elaine, Mike. Y'all, if I can remember to speak into the mic, and I have a multitude of technical inability.
I'm not going to go over every article of evidence that was collected in this case. You've been very patient all week, and you've heard a lot of testimony, and you saw the laborious process that we go through to introduce evidence. And I just want to direct your attention to that locker, and there are a lot of things in there. And
Elaine, Mike, God dang it. That's it. I have to run for president. I have to run for president. I have to mandate by executive order, which ticks me off anyways because I don't believe in executive orders. But I'm a mandate lapel mics. And I'm going to take all the other mandates out. You're welcome, America. Mo for president.
Mr. Halstead, really, he kind of has a point that not every tiny piece of each piece of evidence was swabbed and analyzed. And there is a reason for that, and it's called resources. But I want you to keep in mind when you go back there to deliberate about the evidence that you do have. And I particularly want to talk about the notebook because, I think what Agent Lowe told you was that she examined the notebook and took swabs from the place most likely to leave touch DNA evidence. And that was the surface of the notebook, which is, I don't know if I would call it slick, but it's something that she,
The technical term is slickery.
as an expert and as somebody who takes samples and knows where to look and how to look for DNA deposits. She picked the most likely place, and she found it. She found the defendant's DNA on the notebook, and circumstantially, ladies and gentlemen, when you consider that that notebook came from a backpack that was found in the room where his sister testified that he was staying on the Thanksgiving holiday. It makes sense that it's the defendant's notebook and the defendant's writing. I would also point out to you that inside that backpack were several books.
But ma'am, did you test for the existence of ninjas or acrobatic assassins from, Assassin's Creed or Agent 41? I mean, you have just left all these stones unturned. Do you know where Maria Sanchez was?
Books that you saw in Technician Sandlin published to you. And on the inside of those books was the defendant's name, Joel Guy. So the books that were in the backpack belonged to him. The notebook had his DNA on it. And the backpack was found in the room where he was staying. So
Lies and
you don't have
slander.
to be, just an expert in logic
You don't have to be a rocket surgeon. The correct term is rocket surgeon, ma'am.
to make the connections that the notebook is his. But I would also like for you to consider the writing itself in the notebook. And there are references in those writings, despite the fact that there's no handwriting expert here.
Oh, the classy lady shade. I mean, now listen, y'all, I will attempt to go back and redo maybe an overview of the Travis Rudolph trial. I am learning to clip stuff. Like next year I will be semi-competent. I am right now at barely competent. I'm almost at being incompetent to stand trial on YouTube, but I will be semi-competent to represent myself next year. But the classy old lady shade. I mean, Mark did you knew he was gonna go ham on her. You knew. She done ticked him off, lady in front with a bad weave, but I will get back on this case, but I gotta love these rebuttal shades.
And if we did have one, the defense would be saying that that's junk science and you can't prove it. But
Touché.
there are references in the notebook that indicate that the person who is writing this is the defendant. Why else would he say that his DNA would be found inside the house? I mean, logically, why would anybody other than the defendant write something like that in the notebook that has the defendant's DNA on
Damn
the
you,
outside of it?
logic.
In the notebook that's found in the defendant's backpack, along with other books that belong to the defendant. Throughout this writing, he makes references to things that only he would know about. His mother's insurance policy, the fact that he would be the beneficiary, the fact that he had done calculations to examine his parents' assets, his father's assets, his mother's assets, the language all mine, I get the whole thing. I mean, who else other than the defendant would be writing these things in this notebook that has his DNA on it that was found in his backpack along with his books, the backpack being in the room where he stayed the weekend of these murders. So, and that's
I mean, those pesky, non-existent, fictitious ninjas going in and the deep state, as Alex Jones likes to say, those transdimensional trolls.
just with respect
Just
to
setting this boy up.
the backpack.
Let
I
him
would also
free.
point out that his DNA is found on a number of other articles of evidence that Agent Lowe examined in places where really how could you come to the conclusion that anyone other than him is the killer? Why would his DNA be on all of the 6 gloves, all of them that she examined?
Well, she is
6
making a
gloves.
point.
She told you that she examined the stained side of the gloves, which indicates blood, and the non-stained side, the inside where the gloves have been taken off, the inside out. His DNA. Also, on some of the gloves, his mother's DNA. which indicates that he was wearing gloves and indicates that at some point his mother's blood got on at least one of these gloves. So, why? Why would he be wearing gloves? I mean, why would he be wearing gloves that were bloodstained? Why would he have boxes of gloves in the closet of the room?
Ma'am, I don't want to know what he uses those extra gloves for because my mind is a twisted and perverted place where even angels fear to tread.
Room where he was staying that weekend? Why would he have a box of gloves
Fan fiction coming soon.
on top of his dresser? Why would there be a discarded glove in the floor of the room where he was staying? Think about it, and think about the fact that he noted in his notebook that he needed to wear gloves.
But did the glove quit or fit? Because we must have quit. There was no fitting. I don't know.
But that was something that he considered: wear gloves and socks, because he's very conscious in his writing that gloves and socks will cover up or prevent the deposit of DNA evidence. Now, the state doesn't know and can't prove beyond a reasonable doubt when he made that notebook. But circumstantial proof shows that it happened before the murders and that it happened as early as November the 7th of 2016. And you saw the video evidence. I'm not going to replay that, but we know that he went to several business locations, including the Ace Hardware store on November the 7th. And we know that that store was
Y'all, and we will get to the testimony of the roommate, but that was the first multiple set of peoplings that Joel Guy had done since he like went to school that year. He, you know, just ridiculous.
referenced on a note that was found inside the suitcase that was found in the floor of the room where he was staying on this Thanksgiving holiday weekend. Dan Boudreaux's Ace Hardware in Napoleonville, Louisiana. Okay. And we know that he went to a Lowe's in Gonzales, Louisiana, and made a purchase. And you can look at the videos yourself. And we know that he went to an Academy Sports and bought a knife, and that knife is the knife that was found on the bathroom counter of the guest bathroom that he used, according to his sister, Michelle Tyler. And we know that his DNA was found on that knife, along with, I believe, the DNA of, I think, his mother. So where else did he go in Louisiana? He went to a Home Depot, and he went to a Walmart, and you saw him purchase this tub, okay? And you know from Michelle Dennison Tyler's testimony that she saw this tub or these tubs in his car on Thanksgiving
that's what
weekend. So we know that he brought them up.
the amount
And I submit to you that it's logical to assume
the amount of suspension of disbelief that I have to do in order for the defense to even make half a millimeter of sense is more than I can muster. And I can muster a lot of disbelief. Now, it will never make Amber Heard a better adult pretender or actor, actress, whatever. But no,
that he had inside those tubs the chemicals that he had purchased in Louisiana. And I want you to think about too, why would he bother to go to different stores in different locations? Why was he careful to purchase these items in areas outside of Baton Rouge? Baton Rouge isn't a huge town, but he could have bought all of these things in one place. These are the actions of somebody who is trying to avoid detection. He's trying not to call attention to himself. He doesn't
can
want to purchase a
say
huge
doy?
amount of chemical products all at one time because that looks weird. And a clerk might remember that. You might remember if you sell gallons of muriatic acid and food grade hydrogen peroxide and sewer line cleaner to somebody, a young man, that might be something that sticks in your memory. But if you buy one or two things at a time, it's unlikely that a clerk will remember that. And I want you to think about too why he used cash. It's not that common. I mean, I never
Because
have
the
cash in my pocket.
government.
It's kind of unusual that he would use cash in
Well,
every transaction, and I submit to
have
you
you
that he
seen
did
the
that to
man?
avoid
Usual is
detection,
not his
to make
normal
it
zip
harder for the
code.
police to track his actions, to be able to establish a pattern and a chain of where he went in the days preceding these homicides. Ladies and gentlemen, there is abundant DNA evidence at the scene showing that the defendant is connected to these homicides. Abundant. And it wasn't necessary for Agent Lowe to test and swab every surface of every piece of evidence that you witnessed us introducing this week. Now, I want you to consider too that maybe you can't see exactly the things on those videos that the defendant was purchasing, but think about what we did see at his parents' house. There were bags indicating the names of the stores where he had gone. Walmart bags, Home Depot bags and products, Lowe's bags and products.
Just
So again,
insanity.
circumstantially, all of this fits together to show that he purchased those products in and around the area where he lived, and he transported them to Knoxville, and he did so with the purpose of getting rid of the remains of his parents.
It is.
And why did he want to do that? It's about money. That sounds
This woman's
sounds
like,
so
y'all,
so terrible to think
I
that you can
can't
kill
with
your mother
him.
and your father for money. But that's really pretty much what it all boils down to. And that is evidenced also by his writing, by the notebook. Money,
crap.
all mine. He had made calculations. He had thought about it. He spent some time. I mean, it's sort of a meticulous account of his intentions. And in a case where somebody is charged with premeditated murder, and I've tried many premeditated homicides, usually you have to put premeditation together circumstantially. And many times I have argued to a jury that you will have to put facts A, B, C, D, and E together to prove this element of premeditation. It's not like you'll have a notebook or an outline or a diary entry that's going to tell you every time. And how ironic that I finally got a case where I have that. That's exactly what we have. We have basically what amounts to a diary that outlines a plan of intention to kill. And we have a motive.
I know, this woman's like, I waited 80
So I want you to
years.
think about this motive for money in the context of this time. Now, Mr. Halstead is correct. One of the sisters, I believe it was Renee Charles, testified, one of the sisters of Joel Sr., testified that she knew her brother had plans, his intention for the future. He was going to let his son know during the Christmas holiday that he was going to be cut off financially. But the daughters knew ahead of time. And they knew, I think by as early as October the 28th, I believe one of them testified that the parents were considering this, because you don't make the plan to retire on the spur of the moment. This is something that you think about. Believe me, I've been thinking about it quite a lot lately. You think about it days, weeks.
This woman is full on Rose from Titanic, old woman mode. Like, it's been 84 years since I seen the Titanic. Although she has a Yankee accent, but everyone turns Southern with me, so use your imagination.
Sometimes months, sometimes years in advance. And this was a close family. They like to talk, and they discuss these plans. And you just can bet that Lisa Guy, who was Mr. Joel Guy Jr.'s biggest fan, his enabler, his supporter, you know that she told him. She had to tell him in advance.
This woman lovingly kept all those creepy Beanie Babies that I had to stare into their soulless eyes. And Joel's soulless, maybe, you know what? Maybe he did have a lot of kin with the Beanie Babies now that I think about it.
What he was in for, what was coming up for him. You know that happened. If they're talking about it with Michelle and Angela and Joel Sr.'s sisters in October and November, you know that the defendant knew about it, and you know that his mother told him. So he knew what was coming. And he's smart. He's smart enough to know that once his mom retires, once she quits her job, that insurance money is gone. He isn't getting that. He's not getting that. And he's not used to supporting himself. He's used to having the support and care from his mother, primarily, taking care of his needs, providing him with an apartment, with utilities, with a car.
Man, could this mom have been my mom? My mom, my mom did a good job of raising me to be in the real world. Like I had to, buy my own stuff when I got a job. I had to, she had to let me flounder a little bit to realize, hey, I have to be smart with money. But can I just get coddled for a little minute here?
Gas money, paying his bills, his tuition, paying for his books, paying for everything. He's used to having her pay for everything. And he wasn't about to let them cut him off. That was not going to happen. These people, they were not going to disrupt his comfortable life. He wasn't going to permit it. He would rather see them dead than let that happen.
He is such a boil
That's
on
what
the
he
butt of
planned.
humanity.
And that's what he did. And then he used their money, not just, it's sort of like a double motive. He wants to do it for the insurance money, but he also wants to get what he can while he can. And I want you to think about that too. He made these transactions after he murdered them, within a very short time period, which I submit to you is during the
Rose from Titanic makes a good point. He did not factor into sisters maybe inheriting a little bit.
course of the homicides, because it's all part of the same incident. He pays his tuition in advance. He pays a bill in advance, which Michelle Tyler told you was his utilities. Michelle said that he paid his apartment rent in advance. He talks to Michael McCracken about paying his rent in advance. Now, why do you think he did that? I was puzzled over this. I thought, why in the world would he be so quick to pay everything in advance? Why would you do that? You know why you would do that? Because it takes a while for an estate to be settled. It takes a while for an insurance company to make the decision to give you money. He needed a cushion. He needed about 3 or 4 months of his bills being paid while he waited to collect. Well, he waited to collect on his mother's insurance. So that's why those things were paid in advance, and that's why he did it in a hurry. He did it during the course and commission of these homicides.
I love she sighs. She's
Outgoing,
like,
friendly, and happy. Yeah, I bet he was. He felt very outgoing and friendly.
oh my gosh. The defense should never have gone with that. The defense should have just never. I mean, even seasoned Rose over here from the Titanic that did all the, flying and all the stuff, after the ship crashed. Even she's like, never in my 84 years.
And happy. Michelle Tyler told you that that was unusual Okay, his demeanor on Thanksgiving was strange. He was usually distant. He was usually kept to himself. He didn't interact a lot with his family. He didn't have much of a relationship with his family. And there are reasons for that. And I think Mr. Stevens explored that with Mr. Guy's only friend, Michael McCracken. He lived away. He lived in Baton Rouge. He didn't live in Burgosville. He didn't live in Knoxville. He had no reason really to have close relations with people who were older than him and who lived in different places. But ladies and gentlemen, despite that, these were people who were close, a caring family.
That family was perfect if they just excised the tumor, allegedly, in Minecraft.
Loving family, and they all knew each other's business, and they all knew exactly what was going on. And they
The
all knew
cat you
about
see at the edge
plans
of the
that
screen
Joel and
is
Lisa
Harmony.
had to retire and to take a break from life. Okay, and why would he be outgoing and happy when he had been distant from them in the past? Well, I submit to you, it's because he was getting ready to get what he wanted, to implement his plan. He wanted to deflect attention from himself. He wanted to be nice. He was playing nice. In his mind, he's thinking, well, I'm going to not give them any reason to suspect me. I'm not going to act like I'm mad. I'm not going to show them I'm mad. I'm going to make an effort to talk to the grandsons, my nephews. I'm going to give away my toys. I'm going to give away my Beanie Babies.
Even this woman's like those soulless, godless Beanie Babies.
I'm going to speak to Michelle. I'm going to interact. I'm going to make this.
Y'all, that is some bare minimum stuff. His great show of humaning and not lizard people, thing is being nice, talking, taking a photo, and giving away Beanie Babies.
This a nice holiday for everyone. So when ultimately the bodies are discovered, people are going to reflect back and they're going to be able to say, well, Joel Michael was nice that weekend. He was in a good mood. He was okay. But it was an act. It was a show, and it was
calculated. It was unbelievable, but it was cunning.
to deflect attention from himself, because if he had acted angry, if he'd had an argument with his mother, if he'd had it out with mom and dad over the fact that they were going to cut him off, I mean, how would that look when their bodies turn up later, or maybe their bodies don't turn up because he actually carries out his entire plan and is able to flush them into the public waterway.
Oh, dear Lord.
Mr. Sanchez was right. He didn't finish.
People,
okay?
we have been saved.
At some point,
we have been saved from the guys in our
ran out
water.
of steam. He ran out of energy. You heard Dr. Marks. It's hard. It's hard work to get rid of two human beings. It was hard to kill them. It wasn't easy. And it's much harder work to take them apart, to cut off their limbs, to transport them into whatever vessel you bring to dissolve them in. It's hard work to lug all those big, heavy products around, and especially when you're hurt, because it wasn't so easy to kill dear old Dad. Daddy put up a fight, and the defendant got injured, and he basically wimped out. He gave up. He wimped out and left. And you might find it curious to see that on those Vigilant Solutions records, he actually is traveling back toward Knoxville at some point. So was he coming back to finish the job? We will never know. That's something that the state can't prove. All we can prove is that he left shortly after midnight on the 28th and was back in Baton Rouge when he was arrested on November the 29th. We can't prove what happened between those times. Let's talk about how hard it was to kill mom and dad. I want you to
Ma'am,
think
could
about
we
the
not
last
talk about
moments
the
that Joel Guy Sr. spent on this earth. He was attacked by his own son. He had to fight him off, and it was a fierce fight. You saw the evidence in that room. I don't have to show it to you again. You saw his hands, both of his hands. At some point, that man had his hands on the knife that his son was using to kill him. And he knew it was his son. He faced him.
it's just it that he can sit there with a flat affect, and I do believe he is somewhere on the spectrum, but there's just the fact that he can sit there and gaze off into the middle distance, it's just offensive.
He was stabbed in the gut. He knew his attacker. Think about that. Think about that. Think about the blood in that room. Think about that corner. Think about the thrashing about. It's no surprise that the defendant was hurt. It's no surprise at all he was hurt in that struggle. And he must have been feeling some pain when he had to kill his poor mother. There she was at Walmart at 12:18. How tragic that your last moments on earth were at a Walmart, buying bacon and sausage and food to prepare a nice breakfast, probably for your dear son who was home for one of his few visits. There she was, purchasing things to take care of her boy, getting him ice cream. Watching her put on her jacket because it was cold. It's very heartbreaking. Watching her push that buggy, knowing where
Oh, you can tell us in the South because she said buggy and not cart.
she's going. Thinking about her pulling up to the driveway, to that garage. The garage, that door that wouldn't open. We don't know why it wouldn't open. Most of us pull into our garage, and we, especially if the kitchen is next to it, most people don't bring their groceries in through the front door, do they? Don't you usually bring them in from the garage into the kitchen? But for some reason, she had to come through the front door. Did she have to knock at the door? I don't know. Was she able to get in? Probably. He probably took the doorknob and the realtor lock off after the fact. Okay, he had several hours to fiddle with the scene after he had killed his parents. But Lisa came home and she lugged all of those bags of groceries in by herself. And she got them in. And something made her go upstairs. What was it?
Joel probably said, "Mommy, I'm stuck in my door and I can't get out."
Did she hear the struggle between her son and her husband? Did she? Or did he call her? Did he tell her to come upstairs? Did he say, "Mother, I'm hurt"?
He probably did because
We
he's a
don't know. We'll
schmuck.
never know. All we know is that when she got to the top of the stairs, there he was. And he had a knife. And he stabbed her. And she saw him. She was stabbed in the clavicle. She saw this boy, her only child. You heard the testimony about how much she loved him, how she worked only to support him. And he cut her up,
Yeah, I
cut
just
her up.
hate him now.
And then he cut her clothes off her body. He cut off her.
Can someone please act outrage? I need Helen Lovejoy, the prosecutor for the first round of closing statements in the Travis Rudolph trial, to come in here and bring the brimstone and the sulfur and explain why the hell you made your mama naked.
Jeans. He cut off her panties. He cut off her shirt. He cut off her bra. He took off her ring and he left it in the floor. He cut off her head, cut off his mother's head. He cut off his father's clothes. He pulled his jeans down. He piled it all up beside him. He left his cigarettes, Joel Sr.'s cigarettes, bloody pack on top. It struck me as an act of contempt. You know, here's your smokes, Dad. That's what he did.
I agree.
And he did it for money. And after he killed her, I don't know what time it was. It was probably sometime after 12:30. He left their bodies to cool off, you know, because he was hurt and he had to go take care of himself. Do you remember seeing Lisa's purse on that? It was the kitchen table, not the dining room table, in her wallet. He had done that. Okay, the police didn't do that. The defendant had gone through her purse and had taken out her wallet and his father's wallet, and he got money. Okay, he needed cash. Lisa Guy paid for the medical supplies that he bought to treat his hands that he hurt when he was killing his father.
I hope he gets MRSA in his hand, allegedly on Minecraft and all the other things that will make sure that I am not legally bound by the laws of this Constitution should he come down with a case of MRSA.
And then just as calmly as you please, he goes to the Walmart. He goes through the doors and he goes to the medical department and he buys his bandages and he buys hydrogen peroxide, 2 bottles of it, 2 big bottles of rubbing alcohol, because you know what? Rubbing alcohol and peroxide in small, even small bottles can destroy evidence. They can clean your wounds, but they can also clean things off. Like that K-bar knife, for example, that's on the bathroom counter. She paid for his medical supplies. She paid for all of this. Okay?
Just
Because she was supporting him.
contempt and hate for this
And
man.
think about that. She paid for the drain cleaner she was dissolved in.
Ma'am, did we just become best friends? Because I have been just flapping my gums about this whole point that dude used mom's money to make mom stew.
She paid for the muriatic acid. She paid for the work lights that he thought he was going to need. She paid for the sledgehammer. She paid for the timers. She paid for the plastic sheeting. She paid for that garden hose. She paid for the small sprayer in the master bathroom. She paid for the big sprayer, the bleach sprayer that was left in the floor of the kitchen. She paid for those garbage bags. She paid for his socks. She paid for his red potato salad that he got when he was buying his medical supplies because he worked up an appetite.
Are you effing kidding me? I thought that was from the groceries that mom never got to put away. Dude bought some Jesus help him.
After all of that, and he was in the mood for some red potato salad. Think about that. Think about that.
Oh Lord, woman's
she paid
done
for
lost
the
it.
tubs that she and her husband disintegrated in. She worked all those years at Jacob Engineering to put him up, to keep him in his lifelong whatever program he's in at LSU. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? She was still looking for a job in Seguinsville. Do you remember Renee Charles telling you that? She wasn't going to cut him off. She was going to find a job up there. She was going to keep supporting him. Oh my goodness.
I love how she's just lost for words too.
She
She's
gave
like,
him everything he wanted. And then
I'm just waiting for her to say, just y'all.
she
I
had
need
the
her to
nerve,
side eye.
the nerve to tell him that they retired and needed a break. Nobody else had a reason to do this. Okay? No one else. And the proof in this case isn't strong. It isn't it isn't anything other than overwhelming. Overwhelming. And we ask you to consider everything in this case, and we ask you to convict him.
3
Convict
hours,
him of
y'all.
premeditated murder, convict him of felony murder,
It took
and
3 hours.
convict him of abusing the corpses of his mother and his father. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, jury, what
All right, you guys. We are going to get this off. And we are going to go full screen. I am indoorsy today. I have some appointments, but I am going to try to go on to the Broken Bakers stream about Adam Montgomery, the man who is being charged right now with felon in possession of weapons. But the real case against him is the disappearance and suspected murder of his 4-year-old daughter, Harmony. The man is a douche canoe and a half, but the state right now is working on convicting him of this lesser charge and working on getting the case going for his child murder. I am sorry about the chaos today. I'm sure you are all excited to hear my feral boys explain that one punched the other in the nuts. These are proud moments as a mother that I just wanted to share with the world. Um, as I've said all this, I would love for you guys to put in the comments what trial you would like to do next. I am toying around with doing a maybe Daryl Brooks retrospective or retro watch, or we could start with a brand new trial. If you guys have any suggestions, I would love to hear them. And as for a closing, I hope you guys choose one hard thing today. My motto this year, after I got out of my about 4-month pity party, was to pick one hard thing a day and do it. And that one hard thing can be so small. It can be, just getting up and going to Walmart and peopling and getting that done. It can be, getting up in the morning with Mr. Mo and doing the elliptical that is not going to be the funnest thing. Just pick one small thing, guys. We can't control the world. There are always going to be these psycho, weird Joel guys out there. But if we can do one small thing a day, then we can make our little circles better. So, with sarcasm and sass, oh Lord, it just cat fight, boy fight, ball fight. Y'all, I love you. Bye.